Well, good morning and happy Sunday to everyone on this 16th day of August 2020. I'm Reverend Chuck, and we continue our series of our 12 spiritual powers of faith and love, strength, judgment, order and imagination, understanding, will, order, enthusiasm, release, and of course, life. And if you have any questions at any time about any of these 12 powers that we are discussing, please feel free to contact me on Facebook Messenger or at my email at revchuckunity@yahoo.com. That's revchuckunity@yahoo.com. And as we start each service, each Sunday, we do so with acknowledging the presence of God in our life as we pray In the Presence by Charles Fillmore. I am now in the presence of pure being and immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. I acknowledge your presence and power, O Blessed Spirit. In your divine wisdom, now erase my mortal limitations, and from your pure substance of love, bring into manifestation my world according to your perfect law. So it is. Well, today we continue this series, and we are going to be talking about our spiritual power of release. And we know that as we continue this journey, we try to have all our powers under the direction of the Christ in us, that spiritual essence, the image and likeness of God in which we were all made in. Now, release is a power that we get to use to free ourselves from such things as tyranny and repression, bondage, and even addiction. It also helps us to free ourselves from behavior and thoughts or beliefs that are ego-driven, that cause us to deny the presence of God in any negative situation, circumstance, or experience that we are engaged in. You know, when we allow that power of release to be under the direction of Spirit and our Christ center, we find that we have the ability to liberate ourselves through choosing and cleansing and even forgiving any and all thoughts, beliefs, behaviors that keep us in bondage to ego. When we allow the Christ in us, our hope of glory, to guide and direct the use of our spiritual power of release, we find ourselves choosing freedom rather than bondage. You know, humanity has had a long relationship with ego and its drive to dominate our mental and emotional states of being with negative thinking and beliefs, thus creating life-defying experiences that cause the disease and the poverty and the ill health and even early death. However, Spirit, being what Spirit is, gives us the power to overcome ego by allowing our mental and emotional states of mind to embrace, if you will, the human condition of positive thoughts and feelings. You know, David and Gay Williamson, in their work, The 12 Powers in You, state, and I quote, "Release is a positive process of learning new ways to look at life by adjusting our outdated beliefs that have kept us from being totally free from ego's control. It's our ability to cleanse and be totally free of ego and to cleanse that consciousness of being of any beliefs and thoughts, mental images or actions, practices that are preventing us from achieving our full potential as manifestations of God, His beloved children. We all make mistakes. We all get upset at times. This is when we call upon that Christ within to cast out the devils, as they say, from our mental and emotional consciousness. And we do this by choosing to forgive ourselves and others. They tell us, remember, pencils have erasers. And why do they have erasers? So they can erase the mistakes. Remember, God never judges. They continue, we can release in a positive and freeing way by 1, recognizing what we need to forgive and then let go of it. 2, facing it with the courage to choose the right action so that we can release. Letting it go by replacing the negative feelings or thoughts with something better and healthier. And 4, make restitution by apologizing whenever and wherever it is possible. They tell us to keep in mind the power of release is a process. And for some people, it can be a lifelong process. But a process that must be engaged if you truly, truly want to be free from any negation, any injustices that ego pours out on your life. Learning and applying, they say, the practice of release is not a sticking your head in the sand, pretend it doesn't exist, or having a Pollyanna attitude about everything. The power to release is about naming and claiming what is happening in your life and in your affairs, not running away from them. People run from their issues only to discover their issues have followed them. Releasing is not running away, it's not escaping, it's not hiding. It's only postponing the inevitable that sooner or later will cause lots of pain and suffering if the issues are not acknowledged and healed. That is what we do with this power of release. And it comes with an activity of forgiveness. For they write, forgiveness has the power to free us from bondage to ego and the human condition of negativity in our lives. They remind us that Jesus understood the need of forgiveness in our lives by teaching and demonstrating that very power and its power to free us. Why is it so important to forgive? Well, here's why. 1, we forgive not because it is a nice thing to do. We forgive because we hold ourselves in bondage and limitation when we do not freely forgive. Forgiveness releases us to be healthy and prosperous, peaceful in both mind, body, and soul. Forgiveness releases us from the person who we feel has wronged us or hurt us. 4, forgiveness allows us to move on to better things because we no longer desire ill will toward anyone, including ourselves, due to that experience from the past. 5, forgiveness helps us to release, to let go of the past and the people or issues that no longer have purpose in our current life and affairs. 6, releasing the past and the experiences with people you've had at the time is like getting a new pair of shoes to replace the old worn-out ones that you had because they no longer serve a purpose. 7, releasing the past and allowing forgiveness to be active in the process of releasing. You find that you're able to replace old, worn-out ideas and beliefs, religious practices, pastimes, and concepts of a mean, vengeful, unforgiving God with a new, positive, and healthier ones through the guidance of your Christ within. Something to think about. Well, they go on to say, practicing the power of release isn't pretending that you don't have a problem ruining your life with alcoholism, compulsive spending or gambling, fits of rage, fears, or other toxic feelings and behaviors. In fact, using the power of release is letting go of anything that stands in your way of expressing the fullness of God's good in your life and in your affairs. It's about releasing and letting God be God in you, which is a total surrender to your Christ within, your hope of glory. Jesus who represents the Christ in us, said, I came that you may have life and have it abundantly. He did not say, I came so that you can have disease and poverty, ill health, and an early death. No, these things are from the one that kills the spirit. They are of ego, always edging God out of our life. He went on among those whom ego was trying to keep in bondage and kill off their destructive behaviors. They were the sinners and the outcasts, the adulterers, the lepers, the tax collectors, the prostitutes of his day. Chapter 23 of Matthew covers all of this and covers Jesus' disdain for the scribes and the Pharisees, for their self-righteous and holier-than-thou attitude of placing heavy burdens of perfection on people of his day through unforgiveness by using their legalistic, religious fundamental concepts about God as a means to keep the people who needed the help the most in bondage to them. Well, ego has definitely always been at work. It's always finding ways to supplant the work of Spirit. Jesus knew this. And one of those ways that ego tends to do this is to say, hey, you don't have a problem. How many times have we heard someone say, I don't have a problem. They do. Or, I can take care of it myself. I don't need anybody to tell me what to do. Or, leave me alone. I'm fine. I can stop anytime I want. This is how ego keeps people in bondage to its way of thinking, its way to continue to instill pain and suffering, while it slowly kills the person who seeks help. David reminds us that until we seek help, until we admit we can't do it alone, we will never be able to accentuate the positive in our lives by eliminating the negative influences that ego has imparted upon us. You know, we're not islands unto ourselves. There are others who've been through the issues and the painfulness and the hurtfulness and all those experiences. Those of you that have empathy for others and understand what it takes to overcome our bondage to old beliefs and behaviors that only kill us instead of serving our Christ essence. They write, as we use prayer with each other of our spiritual 12 powers, we can improve, heal, and develop our lives in positive ways so that we do experience a sense of well-being and gratitude, peace, order, harmony, as we work to overcome our issues with the help of Spirit through the Christ within, again, our hope of glory. It is helpful to remember, too, that asking for help is not being negative or weak, as ego would have you believe. Jesus did not do it alone. He had 12 disciples to help him with his ministry. He asked for help, and they gave it to him. Jesus, after all, was demonstrating that asking for help is believing in God and God's help in every way. Did he not say, it is the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom? And then when he was chastised for helping all people, he said, hey, it is not I that does the work, but the Father who sent me that does that work. God is always with us, always there to help us, to guide us, to direct us through the activity of Spirit. Jesus wasn't afraid neither to share feelings and to let people see him doing it. In John are these words, two very powerful words. Jesus wept. His humanity, his connection to us, to all of us as human beings. When working on overcoming any negative behaviors, feelings that always come up to haunt us, we are going to have emotions. When we practice releasing and letting of old issues that kept us in bondage, it's important to know that you're not going to be able to run or hide or ignore those feelings that are associated with those issues. Those feelings must be recognized and dealt with, or they'll continue to cloud the healing process of letting go and letting God be God in you. Being in touch with our feelings and able to share them doesn't mean we get to dump our negative emotions on others. Doing so can cause people to shy away from creating more negative feelings. It's okay to share. Just be aware of how you're doing it and when you share those feelings with others. The purpose of sharing, after all, is to heal oneself, not continue the hurt feelings that they have caused. It's important that you use the power of wisdom and spiritual discernment when sharing your feelings, using phrases such as, "my feeling is," or "I feel sad about," or "I feel a great loss," or "I feel angry over the drunk who hit my car," or "I'm grieving over the passing of my dear mother." These are normal, natural, healthy feelings and emotions that can help us with our daily issues that we have in life. Once these feelings are released in a positive and healthy way, we are free to express ourselves, express feelings of joy and love and gratitude, and of course, celebration. It is a process, my friends, one that we all go through. We're not exempt from the human condition. We're not exempt from negative experiences. We're not exempt from ego trying to control us. What we do have, though, is this power of spirit. We have the power of the Christ within us to help us to overcome any and all issues that we may be facing. So join me next week, will you, as we continue to free ourselves from ego's hold on us through the spiritual power of release, part 2. And I wish to thank all of you for following me on Facebook and YouTube, and of course for the financial support that continues this ministry and allows it to be active. So until next Sunday, have a great week. Be good to yourself and others. God bless you, dear friends.